Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Defying the Odds presented by Greater Than Expectations. This week I have the very great opportunity to interview Arielle Rideau. She is one of the driving forces behind Greater Than Expectations. An encounter with the founder, Dr. Ward, several years back actually provided Dr. Ward with the mission, with the being, with the patience and everything that she wanted and needed to start something like Greater Than Expectations. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Arielle Rideau to the stream. Arielle, thank you so much for coming. Wow, I'm super excited to meet you. Once I heard about you from Dr. Ward, I just could not wait to do this interview. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. How you doing?
I am great. Much better to be in your presence. But let's kick it off here.
Oh wow.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of what led you to be in foster care?
Okay. So I'm Arielle, and like you said in the beginning, Crystal. I'm Crystal's driving force. Um, I was in foster care about at the age of 7 because I have 6 other siblings, and my mom, she was addicted to drugs, and she didn't come and pick us up from the daycare, a very popular daycare right now. I'm not gonna say the name of it, but she didn't pick us up, and so that kind of kicked off us being in care. So at that point, I was in care for 10 years until I lived in and out with family in different foster homes and things like that. But I was in foster care for 10 years until I got pregnant with my oldest son, Arion, and I pretty much emancipated myself because when you're the award of the state, well, back then anyway, I was a ward of the state. My caseworker kind of indicated that, like, well, you can have your baby, but your baby's gonna be a ward of the state as well. So I just pretty much was like, I got to figure this out, and that's just kind of how I got out for the most part.
You didn't want your baby to spend not one day
No,
in the system, right?
no,
I
no, not
completely
one.
understand that. So were you placed with all of your siblings?
No, because there was so many of us, we were split in twos. So
Mm-hmm.
2, 4, 6, like that. And then I have a sister that is deceased. But we were split up. So 4 of my siblings, they were adopted. Me and another sibling, we were never adopted. But we were split up. So first we were in twos, and then we ended up kind of separately, if that makes sense. So I ended up actually living with a good family in high school around the time when I met Crystal. Um, and it was a lot of teenage girls there. And I, I didn't feel, I guess when I lived with that person, I felt more loved than ever, if that makes sense. Like, so that's kind of how it was. But yeah, we were definitely split up.
Were you able to maintain a relationship with them? Like, did they ensure that you guys were able to keep in contact and maybe have visits with each other since you were related?
Mm, honestly, I'm gonna say yeah and no. I think as we got older, well, like my younger siblings, they're way younger than me, so they didn't remember us. So no, they
Mhm.
got adopted by people that weren't like in my family, and then my 2 older siblings, they got adopted by family. But um, I can say they tried to make an effort, but it's a two-way street. The other people that my family, my brothers and sisters were with, they would actually have to be wanting to do that as well. So I would just say it was kind of like a yes and no. It's kind of like 50-50, but it wasn't
Mhm.
a priority if that's what you want to know. Like it's like, hey, if they want to do it, yeah. If not, then it's like kind of like whatever.
Okay, we have our first question from the audience. Carolyn is asking, how did it make you feel to not be adopted, especially because your other siblings were?
Uh, I it kind of makes you feel like, oh, nobody wants you, but you kind of surpass that, like I had therapy services, which back then I really didn't take advantage of. It was kind of like, I sat in the room with the therapist and I'm like, okay, is my hour over? Because you really didn't know the need and the need of the therapist at that time. So I mean, you still have I still have mixed emotions about it, honestly, because it's like I kind of create my own traditions nowadays because I just kind of feel like it's just me and I have children and I have some outside family and my friends have become my family completely. So it's like mixed emotions when it comes to that. But like I said, I did live with a good family. I don't know. I was kind of ruthless in high school. Like I was a little off the charts. So nobody probably wanted to adopt me. They probably was like, nah, we ain't about to deal with her. But when you really kind of sit back and think of it as an adult, it's like this is what teenagers do. Like I have a teenager, so it's like this is what teenagers do. So it's mixed emotions. It's still sometimes, like I said, to this day, it still affects me, especially like around holidays and stuff like that.
Of course, the holidays are tough, man.
Yeah.
But speaking about high
Hmm.
school and how you were a little rough around the edges in high school, can you talk to me about high school and how you met Crystal?
So I went to, well, I don't know if I can say names of schools because I don't want to do that. I don't know necessarily, but I mean, is that okay? I don't
You,
really.
you,
I went to one school and I moved to another school that Crystal worked at. Okay, and so I moved because I was pretty much off the charts at the other schools. And I was rough with Crystal. To this day, I tell my son, like, oh my God, I hated Crystal so much. She used to call my foster home. She used to get me in trouble. I used to have to clean up so much because she used to always tell on me. And I'd be like, why are you always telling, And so I remember, I think I met Crystal. I had her, I want to say maybe sophomore year, first semester, with cooking, right? She was my foods teacher, like a health teacher. And oh my God, I was so bad in her class. She used to be like, you need to cook, you need to do this. And I'd be like, psh, I ain't doing nothing. You don't tell me what to do because Crystal was young. She was a young teacher and I'm in high school. I'm like, who are you? And I kid you not, she would just call my house. I literally would be like, Crystal called again. Well, Miss Ward, Miss Ward. It took me a long time not to call her Miss Ward, but Miss Ward called my house again. Like, this is insane. Like, she keeps calling, she keeps getting me in trouble. So it was kind of like a big sister relationship. Like, I think she could kind
Mhm.
of tell that she didn't know me, she didn't know what I had going on, but she could tell that I was like different, like something's bothering her. So let me see what's going on with her. So she kind of chimed into my life, and I'm forever grateful because if she did not, it's no telling what path I would be on right now, right? So Crystal, like, really big shots to her. Like, that's my girl. Like, she really my girl. So anyway, I ended up getting pregnant over junior year, summer. And I remember having Crystal again for first hour and my senior year. And I remember her saying, like, quit coming to my class late because I live right down the street. I used to walk to school. And she goes,
Mhm.
quit coming to my class late every day. And I'm like, oh, I'm sick. But I didn't want her to know what kind of sick I was. I'm like,
Right.
I'm sick. And she's like, okay. So then, like, one day she just kind of got in my business, like, Arielle, you need to stay after class. I need to talk to you. And she's like, you keep saying that you're sick. What, like, kind of what's going on with you? And I'm just like, I'm pregnant. And I just kind of walked out and, like, went into another class. But that wasn't the end for Crystal. It was like now she's really in my business, right? She's like, "Oh, you
Where you
pregnant,
drop
huh?
the
Well,
ball?
you pregnant about right, right." So at that point, she would have talks with me, just private talks, and just trying to see my well being, asking if I needed anything. And I was, like I said, I was such a rebellious person, but she just really never gave up on me because she knew that I needed that. And so, kind of fast forwarded a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm having a baby. It's a boy. I'm like, I guess I like you a little bit, Crystal. I like,
Just
can
a
you
little
be my
bit.
kid's god? Yeah, just a little bit. I'm like, well, can you be my son's godmom? And she
Mhm.
was like honored. And I remember her coming like to the hospital and like literally with trash bags full of stuff for me. Like she's literally from day one, like always looked at me out for me. I'll say, prior to when I met her, like my junior year, I mean my sophomore year. I feel like it could have been freshman or sophomore year. But from that moment on, like for real, like she was just always like, do you need something? Do you need something? Um, as far as like, I went through some times where I was trying to get ahead, homelessness, things like that with my son.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of those people that I could always fall back on to live with. Like I lived with her so many times. I remember she used to charge me $50 to live there. Like that's not rent. Like, but she did it anyway because she really wanted to see me like succeed, like for real. Like she's really an awesome person. So that's how I
You
met her.
that
So
you definitely need that, especially when things, aren't going to plan. You really need somebody in your corner that's
right.
going to look out for you, maybe let you stay with them, and kind of
Yeah,
prepare you
yes,
for the real world, because that $50, it wasn't rent, but it's teaching you that rent is coming. You're still learning
right,
from it, and being there for your son,
right.
bags of items that you can need, being there for you to fall back on. That's really great.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
from what I know about Crystal, that's very on brand. Um, but let's move into your family life. So you have one son, or maybe more?
I actually have two kids. I remember telling Crystal about the second one too. That's funny. I was afraid. I was like, "Oh my God, Crystal! Like, can you be the second one's godmama too, or do I need to find another one?" Um, so I have two kids. I have Arielle, who's going to be 14 next month, and then I
Mhm.
have Steven Jr., who is just turned 5 on Christmas Eve. So I have two boys, two boys.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I heard through the grapevine that you are just a heavy autism advocate. So being
Oh
in
my
the
God.
system and having your two boys, what fueled your passion for that?
Yes, yes. Autism. That is my thing right now, okay? And it's been my thing, not just now, but it's my thing now, later, and then some, right? Actually my son, my 5-year old, is autistic. So he is literally the force behind me even wanting to learn anything about autism because again, I had a son prior and you don't compare children. You don't compare
Correct.
children at all. But you know when something's different about your child, right? And they're both mine, but I'm like, hey, hold on, this is a little different from when my oldest son was doing this versus my younger son is doing that. So um I really am all into autism. I feel like and this is just me, with a lot of facts and things like that. I feel like people that look like me and you, um, we are so uneducated when it comes to autism, and it's unfair to the child or the person that the loved one that we have that is autistic. Everyone around me that's ever been around my son, I have completely educated them, and I'm not all the way 100% educated. I took a course to learn more in psychology about what
Mhm.
goes on in the brain with autism, but I feel like with autism, like we are so uneducated. We're so used to, ain't nothing wrong with them, or afraid to let someone know that your child does have a disability. And I'm in a younger generation, obviously, so we don't really want people to know. We're so judgmental based upon social media and just the things that like the what you don't want people to know, pretty much. So I really advocate for it because I want people to know that it's okay to be different because those kids are just beyond, like, my son is beyond smart. I mean, he's so smart. Sometimes I tell him to go help the oldest one with his homework, right? So he can just they can get him out of my face. So like they're so beyond smart, but it's really so that it can be advocated in the Black community because it's just not. When I go to appointments with SJ and I sit in the behavior clinics of autism, there's just not a lot of people that look like us. And I know that my son is not the only one that is autistic.
Definitely not,
So
definitely.
that I'm really all for that. Like we did a walk this year. It was virtual because of COVID. COVID kind of got a pause on things. There's actually a 5K that's launching this year. I haven't told people about it yet, but now y'all know if y'all listening. It actually launches on my birthday. So we're gonna be doing a 5K. They just don't know yet. But um, it's just that it's just very important to me, and it's really based upon my son because I wanted to know what was wrong with him. I didn't want to keep on as we are used to saying, like, "I'll just whoop him," you know. He's just acting out, but he's not acting out when he's being himself. And that's what people need to learn about autism. These people are being their selves. It's just different things that trigger different behaviors,
Right.
you know.
Right, and every kid, autistic or not, people often have their triggers. It's just different when dealing with a child with autism
Hmm.
or any child that's along the spectrum
Yeah.
in any way. But those kids are very, very bright, the smartest kids in the world. But
Yes.
no, and I
And
definitely
SJ is one of the sweetest kids that you could ever meet. Like he's such a sweetheart. Like I'm not saying that because he's my kid. I'm saying that because he's genuinely a sweet kid. He's such a sweet boy. Like he really is.
no, that's really good. That's really good. I'm glad that you're not, I'm glad that you're able to talk about that on this public setting and not really hide behind it and
Yeah.
think about all the negative stigmas that surround it because it shouldn't be that way. And we
No.
definitely need more advocates like you and more people who aren't afraid to say, yeah, well, my child is autistic, especially more people that
Right.
look like you and me that's not going, oh,
Hmm.
my child just doesn't talk yet, or yeah, my child just doesn't like that, or just beat them if they're not behaving. We don't need that. We need people who are caring and who are willing to learn because you can't beat the autism out of a child.
No, you cannot. No, you
It's
cannot.
not gonna work. Not how things work.
No, it's not. But the only
Okay.
thing you can do is you can learn it. You know, you can figure out what ways. Like it didn't happen. It wasn't an overnight process for me. Like some of my best friends, they could tell you, I literally used to be on the phone crying, like I don't know what to do. Like I don't know how to deal with this. Like not us attending public settings, like not even taking them in public. But that's unfair to him, right? He should be able to venture out, see the world, just like me and you. So that's what really was. I just really was like, I gotta see and I gotta do whatever it takes to make sure that I'm able to care for my son properly.
Yeah, no, that's really important, and definitely you are an amazing mom. We do have a second question
Thank
from the
you.
audience. Anytime, and it's from Pamela, and she's asking, your oldest is around the same age you were when you had him. What do you tell him about relationships and family?
Oh my goodness, you're right. So Arion's now relationships as far as like him and girls or relationships as far as like just family in general.
From the context of the question, I'm thinking family in general and like, forging those relationships, like the relationships you attempted to have with your siblings.
So Arion, he has an amazing side of his family. Like his dad's side of the family is amazing. They're my family, right? Seriously, like
Mhm.
my family. Like when I have events and stuff, like we spend the holidays together and everything. So he gets that love that he needs, even if it's not from my side necessarily. Like he gets love from my siblings and things like that, but not I wouldn't say like my uncles and aunts and things like that because he doesn't know them. But
Mhm.
his family, they're really involved. So he he gets to experience love from all around.
Okay.
Something that he didn't at first. I mean, that I didn't, but he has no. I don't feel like he has, and he's really an awesome kid too. He has no worries in that area, and that's always the goal. You don't ever want. I always look at my children, and I be like, this is why I'm grinding because I don't ever want them to try to figure out their next meal or any of that. They don't have to worry about that. All you have to worry about is being a kid.
Yeah, and that's really important. And speaking about being a kid, you said that, you were out of care at the age of 17. But did anybody ever talk to you about, the possibilities of what would happen if you were to stay in care? Like getting your college paid for or into like some type of housing or anything like that?
So I did do the little temporary housing for quite a second before I even exited care. But as
Mhm.
far as education, absolutely not. I found that out later on, just with research that kind of like how when you're normal, not normal, but children that are not in foster care, um, and they're on their mother's insurance or their father's insurance, they can stay till they're 26, right? So I found that out later on with research, but definitely is something that is not spoke about. It's kind of like, they kind of shove you along like, hey, we're done with you. You got to figure it out. That's just really what it is. That's just how it is. They teach how to do, like, get a job and things like that, but you don't have nobody to lean on when you're out of it, because that person that you were with, that's not your mother or your father. They were just fostering you at that time. So there's, I would say, really slim to none on education, um, when it comes to foster care. They're not educated on that. They're not educated that there is education out there after 18, after 17.
So you didn't get anything like that, any of the information that you really needed from your social worker, huh?
No,
Um,
no.
sorry.
The
Really?
only thing I got was, you're gonna have a baby. Okay, well, just so you know, when you have a baby, because you are, a ward of the state, the baby will be a ward of the state as well.
Is there anything, and this is a question from Shauna, is there anything about the foster care system, especially the way your worker kind of phrased that about, like, yeah, your kid could get taken. Is there anything you want people to know more about, or something about the system that you want to change?
I mean, honestly, and I say this even to this day, especially when my kids are getting on my nerves, I mean, like, boy, I sure wish that sexual education, we don't get that. You get that. Like, I talk to my son because he's a teenager now, but you talk to him about the ins and the outs. I think that a lot of teenage pregnancies would not happen had we, if we were more educated on that. But it's like, who's going to educate you? Your foster mom, who really probably doesn't want to have that, uncomfortable conversation with you. And I know, like,
Mhm.
with my foster mom at the time, I was, like I said, rebellious. I was such a little liar. So, and most teenagers are, right? So I definitely was lying a lot about what I had going on, but I kind of wish I wasn't at the time, like, because maybe things would have been different. Like, of course, I love my son to there's no limit to that. But I feel like if there was more education as far as like sex and things like that, it would prevent that. It would prevent those conversations. And then we can have conversations about, hey, I see your GPA is this. We should be looking at colleges right now versus daycares.
Right, definitely fully 100% agree with you there. Think well, and even beyond the system, the sexual education that's a part of the school curriculum isn't great either. So
Right.
you're not getting help on either side, which really
Yeah.
sucks. So, but your son is a blessing, and you know we did have Michael on the show last episode, and he was able to kind of drop some tips about the things that people can get. So hopefully, if you're watching, you need those tips because you're in care or on the verge of aging out of care, then definitely watch that last episode because there are a lot of gems in there. But wow, this is this is really cool. So I have another question from the audience from Christina, and
Okay.
she's asking how can she get more information on autism diagnosis? Like, what did you do? What did like?
That's a really, really good question. That's a great question because um, what I did was I kind of did it on my own. And I know that
Mhm.
sounds crazy but let me tell you why. When I brought the differences to my son's PCP doctor at the time, they kind of ignored it, right? They didn't want to really diagnose him because he was under the age of 2. But it's like, your kid, like you can see it.
Right.
So they kind of ignored it, right? But my son was going to a daycare that he had been going to for his whole little life. And the daycare provider was kind of like, to a point where I'm unable to handle this at this point. And I get it. She was a younger girl. So I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. So that is when I really cracked down. Because it's like, I knew something was different from him, but I was listening to the doctor. I was like, well, she said he's growing and he's learning and, nothing's wrong, things like that. And so I was listening, but I honestly did it myself. But it's important that if to stick with it. If you feel like something is different with your child, you control that. You control
Mhm.
that. You don't let people tell you no. Like when you know that something is different. Like nobody can tell me anything about my children. Like I tell them, like, no, this is what is going on, and I need you to look at that. And if you can't help me, then help me get to where someone can help me. So Ariane is, I mean, excuse me, SJ. He like I said, I was learning different things about him. So I ended up going to a behavioral, the development and behavioral clinic, which your PCP 9 times out of 10 is not going to even tell you about it because they're overwhelmed, and they were overwhelmed back then. But I remember the first thing that the psychologist asked me when I walked in is she asked, "Who referred you?" Because it's like every place, every doctor wants office wants a referral for this and a referral for that. And I said, I refer myself. I live with them every day. So let's start. And they were kind of like blown away, but they started. And she even spoke and she said, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have said that your son was autistic, but he'd be right back in my room 10 years from now. She's like, but I can see it now that, here at 3 years old, that he is, in fact, full blown autistic. But had I waited on his doctor, who knows what had happened? I could probably still be waiting right now.
Right, right. Especially if people are kind of hesitant to diagnose small children with autism, and your son is only 5, right? So yeah, you might still be waiting.
Right.
So
right.
Women typically having to take things into their own hands when something else fails. But I'm really glad that you did that. And I know we are cutting close on time here. So what I would like to do for this very, very special episode of Defying the Odds is I would like to welcome Dr. Crystal Ward to the stream. All right. And of course, Dr. Crystal Ward is our founder, the founder of Greater Than Expectations. So here she is.
Hello, everyone. Arielle, thank you for joining the show.
Yeah.
I see the comments of thanking you for taking things into your own hand. As you all know, or you heard, SJ, I'm Team SJ, I'm Team Ariane, but I'm also Team Arielle or Aries. So I am super excited to just thank you for being a part of my life. And us being able to grow together in the big sister relationship and allowing me to be the godmother of your sons and entrusting them with me. But more so, I'm just really proud of you. And so when I started Greater Than Expectations, it really was a vision given to me as a child to work with kids in the foster system and to one day adopt. And then while teaching, I ran into you and you changed my life. And with that, it's just been such a great relationship. Hey, Tanisha. And so with that, the board of directors for Greater Than Expectations has a big announcement. Y'all listening? Y'all ready? So, as you all know, we have various programs helping foster youth. 2 of those programs, one is called Operation AIM, which is Operation Adults Inspired and Motivated, which is for foster alum, helping them to stay stable after they age out of the system. Because as Arielle said, you have different placements and you have nowhere to go once you turn 18. So that's what that program is about. And then we have the Audacity to Succeed program, which is for our high school age scholars who want to be greater than their own expectations. So the piece Arielle missed in her story was that she actually came to me and said, "You trying to help this girl over there. She don't want your help. I need your help." So even though she said she was a hot mess, you said that's true, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So even though she was a hot mess and I was trying to help this student, she knew that she needed additional supports in her life. And most high school kids aren't coming to an adult saying, "I need help," right? And so that's how the relationship started, and it just built. But she had the audacity. She wanted to succeed. And so even though she was a young mother, she still grinds. We didn't even discuss how she used to hustle in the ice storms in Kansas City, riding a metro bus to get to school. She knew what she had to do to make sure that her son had what he needed. And then when SJ came along and his autism, she started taking classes to learn the psychology behind autism and how to help herself. And so I'm just really proud of you. Our board of directors is really proud of you. And so we are excited to announce the Arielle Rideau. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Who ready? Put some hearts in the comments. The Arielle Rideau Audacity to Succeed Scholarship for Greater Than Expectations that launches tonight. This is for high school age or seniors who are currently in foster care or in transitional housing through the system will have the opportunity to continue their education, whether it is via a trade school, whether it's via college. We just want to be there to help them out because we know that they can achieve great things just like you. And so I'm going to quickly head to the website so people can check things out. But before that, I'll just let you speak if you have anything to say, Miss Arielle.
I am completely honored, Crystal. Like, I told myself I wasn't gonna cry, so I'm not gonna cry. But I am, I really, I don't even have the words for real. Even it's such a blessing. I really appreciate you. I do. It's just no words. This is awesome.
We love you. The board of directors, this was the easy vote. We're excited to have the opportunity. Those watching, don't mind my screen really quickly as we switch over. And so as you can see, tune in, go hit up our website right now at greaterthanexpectations.org/scholarships, and you will see the page for the Arielle Rideau Audacity to Succeed Scholarship. You can see Ariane and SJ there. There is a get to know Arielle section and why we decided to name this scholarship after her. And if you know a senior, we are based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Arielle and I met in Kansas City. This year, the scholarship is specifically for those in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. However, as we grow as an organization, this will expand. Again, the criteria is for high school seniors that are currently in foster care looking to pursue something after school. The deadline is April 15th, and you all, the board, we made it so easy that everyone who is applying can apply right here on the website. So they still have to write their essay questions, but it's all here and they can submit. And then their letter of recommendation needs to be submitted. And so we're just super excited for that opportunity. Like, share, expand, and we just thank you for being a part of Greater Than Expectations and a piece of our puzzle.
This is amazing. This is really, really, really amazing.
Tiana, I don't know if you have anything, but that's it on my end. For all those that are watching, I'll put the link into our chats. And I just ask you guys to share this information. Make sure that you're getting it out to current high school scholars that may want to pursue something after high school.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Arielle and Dr. Ward, for joining tonight. It's been an amazing time, amazing episode. It was really, really amazing to get to hear your story and to learn about your passions, Arielle. So thank you. Have a wonderful night, guys. Valentine's Day is this weekend. Show some love and be blessed. Good night, guys.
Thank you.